It's coming up on 5:30 and time for our daily Two on Your Side Town Hall. We have a lot to talk about over the next half hour. I'm Michael Wooten.
And I'm Mary Alice Demler. Thanks for joining us. Your questions and comments guide this show, so please continue to reach out. Our text line is 849-2200.
And ahead for us today, changes to Facebook. The company has been criticized for all the misinformation that shows up on your feeds. We're going to talk exclusively with a Facebook executive about what will soon be different.
Plus, your COVID-19 questions about unemployment, salons, and banks. Those answers are ahead.
And then later at the end of the half hour, we're going to talk live with the local university president ahead of many students returning to campus in person this fall. What will be different?
Well, first up today, another major decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. By a 5-4 ruling, the justices found that the DACA program will remain. The Trump administration tried to end the Obama executive order that allowed people brought to this country illegally by their parents to stay here. Now, this is important for these young people because while they will still lack legal status, they can now continue to study and work in this country without fear of deportation. However, it's important to keep in mind today's decision was not really on the merits of the action by former President Obama, whether or not he had the authority to do this. Instead, the Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration did not go through the proper procedures in trying to end it. Paul Cambria is a Buffalo attorney and an expert on the Constitution. We talked to him earlier today.
In order to do this, there's a particular procedure. And to do it, you have to have some reasoned basis for doing it and express that so that it would cover the consequences and all the other things. Here, what the court said is that that procedure wasn't followed. Their reasoned basis was not provided. And as a result, procedurally, they did it incorrectly. The court never said that they approved of the program or it was a wise program or anything like that. They just said procedurally, you didn't kill the program the way you have to under the Procedure Act.
Well, we also asked Cambria about the breakdown of this ruling. You had Chief Judge John Roberts joining with the liberals, whereas all the conservative judges dissented. Now, coming up next at 6 o'clock here on Channel 2, hear what Cambria has to say about the Roberts Court and the Chief Judge, who, by the way, was born here in Buffalo, though he spent his childhood in Indiana. So look for that next at 6 o'clock. Michael.
All right, we want to turn right now to a Two on Your Side exclusive on big changes coming to Facebook. This affects almost everyone watching because almost everyone has a Facebook account, right? Well, in a moment, we're going to speak with an executive from the company. As you know, if you scroll through Facebook, you're often going to see misinformation, false stories, sometimes stuff that's planted there by hostile actors. Now, there have been calls for Facebook to address that, especially in terms of elections. Well, now the social media giant is taking some action. Daniel Sachs joins us now. He's Public Policy Director at Facebook. Daniel, thanks for being here. If you can, walk us through this new Voting Information Center. Most people have a Facebook account. What changes are they going to notice as this is rolled out in the coming weeks and later this summer?
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, Michael. We are excited at Facebook to be announcing the country's largest ever voter information campaign. We're aiming to help register over 4 million Americans through Facebook this year. That would be more than double our efforts in 2016 and 2018. The way that we're going to provide this information is through what's called the Voter Information Center. It's going to be very similar to the COVID Center that we've been using to provide accurate and authoritative information about the COVID pandemic on Facebook. It's going to contain information from local election authorities like your county election board. Their announcements allow people to subscribe if they want to see notifications from their local officials. It's also going to provide information about how to register to vote. It's going to provide information about how to get a ballot, such as folks who want to vote absentee this year, people who are military or overseas, how do they get a ballot? People who are interested in doing early voting, maybe due to COVID-related concerns, where are the early voting centers? What might be the procedures? And then if voters want to vote on election day, when and where they can vote, and what are going to be any ID requirements or other requirements for them to actually get their vote counted on election day.
When I scroll through my Facebook feed, I'm sometimes taken aback by all of the false memes, the fake news stories, some of them by foreign actors. Facebook has been criticized for not doing more. Should you be doing more? And this new step, how important is it to combating the misinformation that's out there?
So no single approach is going to solve the challenges that our country faces around elections. There are tensions. There are tensions on a number of fronts, and for Facebook, we are facing the challenges in many different ways. This includes our review of people's content to promote our community standards, enforce our rules, to disrupt coordinated foreign interference campaigns, to fight the viral spread of misinformation, to allow third-party fact checkers to identify misleading content and reduce the spread of that on our platforms. And as we head into 2020, another tool in our toolkit is this effort to provide a one-stop shop for authoritative voter information. Again, there's never going to be a single effort or a single tool that will solve this, and we're going to have to continue working hard on this. But we're very, very excited about this landmark announcement, and very, very hopeful about the 160 million or more Americans that are going to be seeing this information through Facebook this year.
Finally, let me ask you about another feature that you're going to be debuting. It will actually allow people to opt out of seeing political ads on Facebook. We aren't allowed to do that in TV as broadcast stations, at least with candidate ads. We are required by law to show them even if they're false or misleading. The same is not true for Facebook. How is this new feature going to work?
What you can do is you'll have an advertising setting in your Facebook settings. Also, in any political ad you see on Facebook, you will be able to opt out of all political ads. This is a step forward, but it's built on some things we've already done at Facebook. So we already provided the ability to opt out of any ads from a particular advertiser. And we also already had an political ad archive, which provides transparency about all the political ads that are being run on Facebook and who's behind them and information about those ads. So this is the next level of evolution in that transparency and control process, and we're very excited to offer it. Now, it's important to note, even if you opt out of seeing political ads on Facebook, we will still show you the Voter Information Center and the information about when, where, and how to vote, so that you can exercise your voice in this election.
Daniel Sachs, Public Policy Director with Facebook. Thanks for taking some time to explain this to our viewers. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Michael, it's good to see that Facebook is stepping up and being a better corporate citizen, because there's been so much misinformation, and it continues to be proliferated on their platform. And you and I, as professional journalists, I mean, we're good fact checkers, but the average citizen is not. And a lot of that fake news has gotten even more slick.
Yeah, and I tell you, I feel like every time I open my Facebook feed, if I see 10 memes out there, 8 of them are just false.
Right.
And people just share them.
Yeah.
And so at some point, we all have a little bit of personal responsibility in this too. It's like, are you really going to share something that you don't know is even true or not? And don't you have some responsibility to make sure that what you're doing is true? So there is most definitely an onus here on Facebook and on Twitter and on these other companies, but all of us really need to do a better job of this, I think. That's a personal opinion alert, I guess.
So noted.